Hi, I'm Katie, and this is the 29th episode of Ornamentations, which is all about Sampler September. So today I have my progress on Plum Street samplers, my early days to share with you, which is stitched on 5363 because I think I'm jingly or something totally nuts. I also have the original silk conversion for Live on Little to share with you. Oh, you guys, the colors are absolutely beautiful on this. I'm so excited to show you. I really hope that at least a few people will take this and run with it because chef's kiss. Beautiful, beautiful silks here. I also have the giveaway winners from the previous episode as well as 2 new giveaways for the end of this episode. And then I also have a previously unseen finish to share with you. This is a very special finish that is quite close to my heart, and that was a long time in the making. So we'll be taking a look at that as well. And then I have a preview of a very exciting announcement that's coming in the next episode, so stay tuned. If you're new to my channel, this is a channel all about my various adventures in stitching and crafting, which run the gamut from cross stitch to embroidery to stump work to beading and all kinds of things in between. This episode will have a little bit of everything to share with you. But let's get on to today's episode. The first thing I have for you is Seasons of the Heart Fall has been an absolutely resounding success. Thank you so much to everybody who purchased a kit, and this is the last call for pre-orders, which close tonight, September 13th at 9 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. After that, the conversion is going to be permanently retired. It won't be published or shared in the future. The full spiel on Seasons of the Heart Fall is in the previous episode, so I won't bore you with it again. But we'll take one last look because I really do love those colors. And after this, it will be migrating to my bookcase for a fall display. So that's Seasons of the Heart Fall. And then let's get on to Sampler September, which is the meat for today's episode. So in the previous episode, I previewed my stitch of Plum Street samplers, my early days, that I had selected 5363 Legacy Linen Sicilian Marzipan for it. This is actually my first time stitching on a count higher than 45. And I wasn't entirely certain how this would go. I'm also not entirely certain why I decided to do this. I guess I was just channeling Jean. You know, she's so inspirational with the super tiny stitches, which are amazing and very cool. So I went for it, and this is my progress, which is actually pretty considerable, and I am quite proud because look at that border, it matches up. Wow. So the threads in the 63 direction, which on this are running across, are so fine that it is staggeringly easy to go over 3 instead of over 2. And I thought for sure I had done that at some point on this border. And when I was going across the bottom, I legitimately felt like I was marching to my doom because I was certain I had screwed up somewhere and that this weave is so tiny I would never be able to find it or correct it. So you can imagine my shock. I mean, almost fell over in surprise when I got to the corner and it met correctly, as it should have on the chart. I didn't even have to fudge it a little. Wow. I was so excited. So after that, I went and did the tree here because the kind of sense of motion in greenery here is one of my favorite things about the chart. The way those stems are just so graceful and sweeping beautiful curves. So I did a tree, and then after that I decided I was going to be disciplined and #mature again and try and go for the grass, which is a big thing for me because I hate block stitching. Hate it. But I am extremely excited to report that stitching on 5363 is engaging enough, to say the least, that block stitching is actually a lot less boring than I usually find it, and that I have been cruising through the grass pretty well. I was really frustrated at first because it felt like I had been stitching and stitching and stitching and there was just nothing to show for it. Oh my gosh. And then finally little blocks of grass started appearing. So I'm going to work my way down and then go up from there because the house has got to change here. It cannot be white because white goes so badly on the Sicilian Marzipan. You can see it in the sheep there. They pop right out once you surround them with green, but just on the base linen, you can barely see it. So I can't have a white house. I'm not really sure what color the house is supposed to be. I don't know. Is it maybe like a light gray, like a weathered Nantucket cottage? That might just actually be the lip on little talking. But so opinions on the house are very welcome, as are opinions on the colors. So I've gotten some questions on the conversion already, and I will be sharing it once it is finished. It is not finished. I still have decisions to make here. So these are the threads I have used or am thinking about, and my two big question marks here are in the yellows. That's going to resolve itself once I actually start stitching with the yellows. I'll know I know what I need once I actually put those in. But the big question here is here on the blues. So this should be easy. It should be these three, because the way that those really vibrant blues pop is one of the great features of this chart. However, my own taste in blue tends to run more towards the lightly green toned woody blues that I've got right here. And they're available on Surfine, so I bought them because they're beautiful, and I keep thinking about them. So I don't know. Votes are welcome on 1, what is the color of the house? 2, which blues? I know what I should do here, and it's different from what I want to do here, so I'm having kind of a struggle there. However, I'm not gonna get there in September, so this might all be moot. If I can get past the stags by the end of September, I'm gonna be pretty thrilled with my progress. So I am going to insert some photos here, some detail shots that allow you to see the details in the stitching. Because it's so fine, I'm not sure it's really showing up on video, and it does answer some questions I've gotten, which is about why my stitches look really sharp and defined. And the answer to that is that I don't do anything special. I don't have any magic technique. I'm really technically not that great a cross stitcher. I start my thread with knots, but I am using the correct, well, not the correct thread. I'm using the thread that gives you that kind of sharp and defined look. So this was covered in the specialty thread tutorial part 1, but those threads are the high twist silk threads, Soie Gobelins, Soie Surfine, and Soie 103. If you pair those with the correct count for those threads, again covered in the specialty thread tutorial, and you use them with the correct needle, you will get crosses that look like these, because it's not me, I'm just making a cross. It's the materials. They will do all of the work for you if you let them. So it's all about what you work with and not how you work it, or at least that's been my experience. One essential component here is, of course, the needle. So stitching on 5363 would not be possible without the correct needle, which is a number 12 short tapestry point beading needle. This is from John James, and I use a 10 for anything under, and then a 12 for the high counts where I'm using Soie Surfine. And this is a needle that will change your life. So if you have been struggling with higher counts, you need to look at your needle first, because oh boy, does it make such a difference. I found this out firsthand when I was stitching my pincushion for the Marie Antoinette Smalls. This is on 45 count foxtail millet with Soie Surfine. And I started this with the 28 tapestry, as I was then using on my high 30 counts, and oh boy, was this tough sledding. I mean, I was just struggling with every stitch, and then a friend suggested switching to the number 10 tapestry point beading, And suddenly I wasn't fighting the fabric anymore. I could just feel with my needle where it was supposed to come up, and I was going as fast on 45 as I would on 38. So the needle was a complete and utter just revolutionary moment, or revelationary moment, whichever characterization you'd like to give it. Same thing's true on 5363. You takes you a second to get your eye in, but as long as you're using the right materials and the right threads, and you've got very good light, it is eminently doable. I thought I was going to be slower and have more trouble with this than I in fact have. I've been very pleasantly surprised by how doable and how enjoyable it is, because I think the linen really adds a lot to this. The colors on the crispness of this linen are just beautiful, and I love the design. So stay tuned to see how far I can get on this before the end of September. Anyone want to place any bets? I'm gonna say if I can get the stags in the second tree, then I'm like really rolling. Maybe I can go further than that. I'm not quite sure, but we'll see. So that's Plum Street Samplers, my early days, and I hope that you'll be enjoying my progress. I am having a lot of fun with this. There's absolutely no way I'm gonna finish this in September, so we'll see, you know, when I can get back to this, when I will have it finished. But at some point, it's gonna be really beautiful. With that, let's move to my other silk project, not one I'm stitching myself, and that is Plum Street Samplers Live on Little. So a few episodes ago, I showed you a few silk picks for this when I got the chart, and as a result of popular demand, I have gone ahead and done a full silk conversion, which is now available on my website. Through the link in the description below. It is not on the main website navigation, so you need the link to get to the page. This is free. It is my gift to you to celebrate Sampler September, and I did go ahead and work up a full conversion table because on a few of these you do need two skeins. So that would be the very dark gray, one of the blues, and the off-white are all ones where you would need, well, not skeins, you need skeins of DMC. You need two spools of the silks in question, and then these are the silks. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Be prepared for a lot of them. The stitch is no joke, and neither is the conversion. This took me a while. So these are the threads. As usual for me, this is a mixture of Soie Gobelins and Soie 103. Got some lovely, lovely greens there, vivid yellows, and then I think lots and lots of neutrals to cover off that unbelievable house where you need 1,000,001 colors, not to mention 1,000,001 stitches to do that thing. So that's mostly the house. And then I think the real stars here are the pinks and the blues. So this conversion all started with these two colors right here. When I got the chart, I just immediately thought of these, which were already in my stash. And that was what started the whole discussion, which then led to this conversion. But these are actually brighter than the called for colors. I mean, those are bright blues, but they're not as bright as these. And if you had just those being much brighter colors, they would be completely out of balance with everything else happening in the conversion. So some other colors had to get brighter to make sure that they didn't look out of place. So I decided to resolve that color issue with the pinks. So I went looking through my stash. I've got a lot of pinks, and I had some that were arguably closer in tone to the model stitch. I mean, these are some really nice pinks and reds, but they're not as vivid as the ones that I've picked here. And I thought that brightening up that border would be the perfect counterbalance to the brighter blues. And then if you look at them all together, which I know this is a little messy, I didn't have a big enough tray to hold all these freaking threads. it's a beautiful collection of silks. I mean, you'd be justified in just buying them all to form the basis of a silk stash, in all honesty, just because they're beautiful. But that was my rationale behind coming up with the conversion. And then there is one more color I'd like to call your attention to, which is 103, 183. This is my question mark color in the conversion. I am very certain about everything else that's in here. This was the one thing I struggled with. So the DMC color that it's converting from is 640. And unfortunately, this stitch is so large that seeing the details of it in this small photo is not that easy. Where this is used is in the house. These are the gray-brown tones in the house. And I think I've got this right, but I'm a lot less sure than I am about the other colors in this conversion. So just know if you're using this, 183 might be wrong. If you get into stitching the house and it's twinging you, call the attic and ask them for the 103 color that is closest to 640. I'm sure they can help you out there. I just really wasn't sure on that. So I gave you my best guess on that one. Other than that, I'm pretty certain about these colors, and I think that this is going to be a beautiful, beautiful conversion. It's my gift to you to celebrate Sampler September. I hope some of you will use it, and more than that, I hope that if you do, you'll send photos, because I would love to see it in action. I hate block stitching. I'm probably never going to use this myself, but oh, I would love, love, love to see you guys use it. So send photos if you do, and then I have a couple suggestions to make on linen as well. So we've covered some of this before, but I think Cloister Cream might be a kind of off-the-wall pick here. So it's a heathered gray 38 count from Legacy Linen. It gives me very like Nantucket weathered beach cottage vibes, and it might be really interesting for Live on Little. The other one that's a little less like the model linen, but I think could be really cool, is Himalayan Fog, because it's got those taupey tones, and these are some colors that would really, really pop against it and also give you that kind of weathered Nantucket vibe. If that's what you like in this chart, it might not be. If you want something that's more literal translation to the linen that's called for, I would recommend 37 count Legacy Linen, Corn Tassel. Again, all these would really, really pop against it, although I am personally very drawn to grays. So I'm very interested to see what you choose, and hopefully you will share that with me if you go ahead and use it. So with that, I'm going to pause this video. I am going to switch the setup, and we are going to look at my big previous finish. So I hope you'll bear with me as I adjust the camera setup here. It is a little awkward to show objects this big and this heavy on camera, because I can't just hold them up. You won't be able to see them. So this is a fully dimensional raised stump work panel featuring hundreds of pieces of needle lace and 8 separate figures that makes up the front of the panel. And the story that this tells is of the moment when Brenda Mart comes into her own and embraces her identity as a female knight. Before this, she's been masquerading as a man. She wins a tournament, pulls off her helmet, and reveals her golden hair in all its feminine glory and showing herself as a woman. This is the moment when her competitors and the various spectators are stunned by the specter of the victorious female knight. The structure of this panel is actually a callback to one of my very favorite historic caskets, one I have mentioned in the context of this casket before, which is a historic piece that was sold by Christie's, and this is featured in the book Raised Embroidery. I will link it in the description. It's quite an old book, but I think you can still find it. And this is a photo of the front. So this casket depicts the story of Joseph. However, I tweaked the composition to show the reveal of Britomart. What I loved so much about the original here was not just the truly gratuitous use of needle lace and stump work techniques, but the really vivid, vibrant colors here, the way it's dominated by those gorgeous reds and pinks. So I decided, you know, kind of as a test for myself in the same way that stitching on 5363 was, that I would attempt a panel with just as much dimension, high relief, and figures as the front of one of my historic caskets, but tweaked to fit my subject. This was actually my travel piece for many years. I started this in 2015. It was finished in 2020. And because needle lace doesn't have to be worked on the ground, it's worked separately on a little slip. If you're interested in learning more about this, Cabinet of Curiosities Part 2 Stumpwork is, I believe, going to run again next year. These are incredibly portable. All you need are your patterns, a little bit of muslin, and the spools of thread that you're going to work with, which makes it perfect for travel. So every time I went somewhere, I would prepare a few pieces. So I might pick a figure and work his collar, his cape, and the different pieces of his outfit, because for every figure there are a lot of separate elements. So for one of these figures, you've got two shoes. Those are worked separately. The stockings, the underskirt, the pieces above it, the bodice, the sleeves, the cuffs, the collar, the cape worked in 3 pieces, and then his head and his crown, for just one example. So there are a ton of different pieces on this, and then I would take them with me on my travels and stitch them as I went. So this piece is kind of a travelogue for me. I remember stitching the pink cape on this guy in Germany, actually. A beautiful summer afternoon. I was in my hotel. I had all the windows open. There was a breeze blowing. I was overlooking the Rhine. And I was stitching that pink cape and just having the most beautiful afternoon. So relaxing, getting some stitching done with this gorgeous, gorgeous view on the most beautiful of days. So every one of these little figures is a memory for me, someplace that I went as I built this piece. And so then I didn't actually start assembling this until 2020, when I finally had a lot of needlework pieces. I will insert some progress photos here so you can see it, how it evolved piece by piece, and then started actually putting it together, which meant padding those figures out, layering things together, doing the understitching, and then working this up into the fully realized dimensional piece that you see today with all of these figures. So this has been mounted on the box, but doesn't yet have the silver edging tape that will finish off those raw edges. And then here's our heroine. I think that's one of the best faces I've ever done, by the way. I'm really proud of that one. And then she's got this fully dimensional spear. It is a kitchen cocktail skewer that I cut off, painted brown, and then sculpted a tip for after I did needle lace over the shaft of the spear. Oh, I can't talk. So I've got 8 people on here, 2 horses, some drapes and some clouds, and then the frieze, which is also taken from the original, although I switched the animals to a lion and a unicorn to represent the heraldic animals of Britain, which Britomart herself represents. She's supposed to be the martial figure of Britain, according to Spenser's poem. Again, for the larger context on this casket, see previous episodes. I won't go through it all again, but that's the last completed piece on my Britomart casket. As you can see, I currently have a whole lot of nothing for the back. I haven't even started it. All I've got is my drawing. So I'm trying to take you through the making of a casket in the way that it happens, which is that it just comes together piece by piece. It grows and fits and starts. And then at some point, it all comes together in a finished piece, just as the many separate pieces of this panel eventually came together in one finished panel. Of course, as part of a larger box that's still not finished, but one day I'll get there. So to finish off today, I have just a few more things, one of which is about a very big finish from a viewer. So I am thrilled to report that there is a third finish of the Simple Harmony box, and that the third prize, which was the set of antique needlework tools, has been claimed by Christine of Mountain Crafts Studio, who has graciously allowed me to share a couple of photos of her box here. The first in an alternate colorway, as the first two were in the 779 Go ones that I myself used. Christine will be sharing the full details of her finish on her own Flosstube, which I think will be today or tomorrow, so definitely check that out to hear all the details, including how she personalized the interior of her finish with family details. Inside the palette on the lid is 11 generations of mothers and daughters in her family, which is a beautiful family tribute and also a wonderful historical record on this box. So I'll let Christine give you all the details of her finish and the choices she made and why. But congratulations, it's gorgeous. It concludes all of the prizes that I have to hand out for finishes, but I hope you will keep on sending them as you finish your own boxes. It is wonderfully rewarding for me and so exciting to see you guys getting all the way through the project and having such success. I know that we do have a few new people to the stitch along. One of them will be telling you all about it on her own Flosstube sometime soon. So if you're thinking about the Simple Harmony box, it's still on display at Needle in a Haystack, and I will be bringing it back at some point. We'll be talking about what I'll be doing to personalize my own box, because I would also like to tell a story, just as my caskets do. So with that, let's get to giveaways. I have the winners of the 3 sets of counting pins graciously offered by Jersey Girl Stitch Co. So didn't have these sorted correctly. First winner, Harvest Thanks, keyword harvest, is Gwen Lewis. The winner of Falling Foliage, keyword foliage, is Kim Colangelo. And then Red Motifs, keyword red, is D. Johnson. For all of you, I have commented on your comment. Please contact me with your mailing address. I'll get these out to you. Congratulations, and thank you all for entering, and most especially to Teresa of Jersey Girl Stitch Co. to offering those fabulous prizes. But I do also have 2 more giveaways today, and these are from me. The first is a book, and I will request that this be US only on your entries, just because it's hardback, it's heavy, shipping's not going to be free, and this is a wonderful book on Stumpwork. So we just saw Stumpwork in a slightly different form. That was authentic 17th century needle lace Stumpwork as seen on my casket. This is a modern variation pioneered by Jane Nicholas, which is a name you may have heard before. She's a legend in the field. And this is her beautiful book combining stumpwork and goldwork. It's called Stumpwork and Goldwork Embroidery, inspired by Turkish, Syrian, and Persian tiles. It features a range of these designs, and they're all very, well, not necessarily simple in execution, simple in design and very beautiful with graceful lines, inspired by her Turkish, Syrian, and Persian tile influences. It's beautiful. If you're curious about stumpwork or goldwork, this is a beautiful book. It's also just pure eye candy. So if you are interested in winning the book, please put book in your comment. And then the second giveaway relates to something that's coming. So as I have hinted at, there's going to be a very big do for the holidays here on my channel. I am going to have multiple Flosstube kits. We're going to send off the year with a really big bang. And I will be revealing the different holiday projects here in upcoming episodes. The first, I am actually giving away the chart today. So the first project, I'll be showing you my finish in upcoming episodes. I have actually finished all of the holiday stitching, is the new Brenda Gervais pattern, just released, Joy and Good Cheer. International entries on this are fine. I know our friends north of the border really do have a wait for charts, so please enter and good luck. This is open to everyone, whether you're interested in a kit or not. If you are interested in seeing a silk conversion for Joy and Good Cheer, one is coming. I stitched it on Irish coffee. I am thrilled with the results. So to enter to win Joy and Good Cheer, put joy in your comments. So those are my two giveaways for today, book and joy. Good luck, everybody. So the last thing I have to do for you today is a preview of something that's coming in the next episode. I've been hinting that there's a big announcement coming, and you'll hear all about it next time. But for a preview, this is a project called the Elizabethan Valentine. Oops, stuff's falling. This kit box for it, which I designed myself on Illustrator. I'm so proud of myself. I'm terrible with the Adobe Creative Suite. And this is going to be the very first online class from me for surface embroidery. The project is called the Elizabethan Valentine. Registration will be opening next time, and I will be giving you all of the details on the project, the class, and then we'll be taking a look inside this box to see what all is inside, and I'll be showing you the project, which, whether or not you're interested in taking a class, I hope you'll really enjoy seeing, because I think it's a really great little project and a great introduction, especially if you haven't done surface embroidery before. So that's the big reveal coming next time of the Elizabethan Valentine class available from me, and we'll have that. We'll also have the first holiday kit reveal, as well as a sampler from my own family to continue the Sampler September theme, and I'll be showing you how far I get on my early days. So I hope you'll come back and join me in 2 weeks for that. And until then, happy stitching.